They've got a good team.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Paul. Welcome to the Deep Andes. Welcome to the Cusco city. Welcome to the Festival of the Sun. Welcome to the Inti Raymi. That's how we call it in our native language, Quechua. On this day, we could grab some of these footages from a really improvised corner, and we're going to comment you a little bit about how this big day looks like, how this big day feels like as well inside of the Inca capital, the city of Cusco. We were not planning to go today to see this celebration because we were still working, but we could find a way, we could find a time in order to put ourselves somewhere, in order to do these videos we're going to present on here. And well, we're going to try to make you understand about what we can see, why it's so special to come on to the city of Cusco. This is actually the last celebration we have from June 1st until June 24th, which is the day on which we celebrate the Festival of the Sun, currently, modernly, in the Inca capital, Cusco City. This video already corresponds to the time in which we're living from the Temple of the Sun. Our people representing the army, these ladies representing the Virgins of the Sun educated inside of the Incan convents. They are living already from the ancient Temple of the Sun, Coricancha, which is already a museum people normally visit also whenever they have stays in the city of Cusco. Well, now that is a beautiful convent that corresponds to the Dominican order. Look how beautiful these customs are. All those are inspired in the old chroniclers describing the beauty, the colors, and of course the characteristics of all these dressings our women used to use when the 15th century, the Incan times, the pre-Columbian era, right? So they have the spinning tools on their hands. That's what they use. That's what we still see people using over the Andes as well. At the same time, we can listen to our pututeros. The pututu is this shell used as a trumpet, normally announcing something special occurring or about to occur. We still have the image of these aglias. So the word aglia stands up for young women inside of the ancient chroniclers of the conquistadors. They are also described as really smart women educated in the nurturing houses called aglia wasi. Aglia refers to women. Wasi, it's literally translated as house, but we can understand this could be some kind of convent in which these people, young women, were educated, right? So there were agyawasis all over the whole Incan territory, from what is now Colombia all the way until the current territory of Argentina, Chile. Remember that the Inca Empire territory covered the most of the west of South America. These ladies now coming with the beautiful flowers. They are normally called icatacas. Ica refers to flower, in this case. And taca, well, it's a verb that refers to how people throw all around the petals of flowers. So they are representing this elaboration of a rack over the floor over which the important people are going to pass through. In this case, it's going to be the queen that shows up really first. Which was the innovation of this year is the presence of this woman that you're going to see standing up right ahead of everyone. She's supposed to be this mythological Inca woman warrior. So Chanancoricoca was known because she was one of the leaders of the Inca army, being a woman. She was very brave, as she's still announced inside of the war in the big first massive Inca war against the Waris, against the Wari Chanca civilizations, those who were about to conquer the Incas right at the end of the 1300s. So all these colors, all the dressing was handmade, and also the colors were dyed up to the colors of nature, up to the material you can find inside of nature as well, right? So that's a really beautiful. When you arrive to our land, we usually take you to those areas, to those communities where still people elaborate their beautiful and their dressing, and they use the material they can find on nature, like flowers, masses, clays, and everything, in order to get those beautiful dye and those beautiful shiny colors. And well, this is time for the queen to show up. This is just the beginning. This is the transition between the Temple of the Sun. So there is a big performance on the patio, on the open area, which is a green, beautiful garden, on the Temple of the Sun. So they just ended this. They're going for the second stage, which is going to take place inside of the current Cusco main square. So that's where the queen, that's where all the army is going, that's where all people are going as well. So right at this level of time, there are hundreds of people inside of the main square of the city of Cusco. And well, it is just something normal. There are lots of local people, there are lots of Peruvians, there are lots of Latin Americans, and of course foreigners from all over expecting this festival to occur, right? So there were many around myself with their tour guides, for example. They were not necessarily including their ticket to go and see the main performance, which takes place inside of the archaeological site of Sacsayhuaman, which is one of those sites you have to go while you're staying in the Cusco region, while you go to Machu Picchu, or probably after Machu Picchu. Yeah, that corresponds also to this that we call city tour. While the performance of our Festival of the Sun, Inti Raymi, you're going to listen people all the time cheering and mentioning the word highly, which is a word that we usually use whenever we want to emphasize something. Yeah, so the ancient Incan army used to use that word as well in order to go against their enemies. Highly Cusco. Cusco is actually the original denomination of the Incan capital. And the word highly would refer to something like long life for Cusco, yeah? So energy for Cusco, that's what you're going to listen once and again. Since we have this gentleman ahead on the right with these bushes on their hands, we're going to explain you later what they use that for. We also have all these tika takas. Again, this is the second section of the second group of the tika takas, the ladies of the flowers. For the same reason that we are expecting the litter of the most important human being on the Inca Empire approaching. So all these people are in charge of carrying the litter of the Inca, the king. So he's coming soon. How colorful this can be, huh? So these gentlemen that you can see right in the video are the Quipu Camayo. Quipu is this accounting system of the ancient Peru, not just from the Incan times, but seems like from ever, representing through knots and colors, different kinds of cords, different kinds of threads, the numbers, the amounts of numbers they wanted to represent. It was mostly an accounting system similar to an abacus. That's how we normally try to describe it. And Kamayok is the word for master, teacher, someone really wise, someone really smart. Kamayok. So they were the Quipu Kamayok. This beautiful sound that you can listen to now comes from the interpretation of this group of people coming from the south of the country. They still are part of the Festival of the Sun. They are the official musicians of the Inca king from the 15th century, when the Inca king Pachacutec conquered the whole area of the Lake Titicaca and surrounds. So he decided to adopt this music, which is known also as Sicuri, played on the high plateau of our land between Peru and Bolivia. And well, they are still present inside of this celebration. Yeah, so they are originally from the community. They are not performers, they are not actors, but they are from the community. So they came a couple of days before in order to be part of the practices, in order to be part of the training. Yeah, and this is how the Inca original music used to sound like. And ladies and gentlemen, for you, the Inca king right in the middle of your screen, he's the one who's going to command the main celebration of the Festival of the Sun today. The Inti Raymi in honor to the sun. This is the shortest day of the year. This is the new year of the Andes. This is the year in which we have to do lots of celebrations, and back then people used to do even offerings of different kinds in honor to the god Inti, the sun. That's the Inca king. So we are inside of the main square of the city of Cusco. This is the one that gathers a lot of people because this is a free area, this is a public area where you can still see, appreciate, learn about the Festival of the Sun. This is the area where historically this festival used to take place, because the Haucaipata, which means the plaza, the square of the warrior, was the mythological middle of the whole Inca country. Well, it is a really beautiful Spanish-like square. It is very obvious the influence, the churches that you have around, the beautiful arches and all that. But this Incan square used to be at least 5 times bigger than this that we have now. Again, the pututus, the shells, trumpets are coming inside of the square, announcing the beginning of the celebration of the Festival of the Sun, Inti Raymi, on the main square of Cusco. Something really nice we could notice in this year is the presence of people from the coast, from the ancient civilization called Chimu, and another native group coming for second year to the Inti Raymi, which are these brothers and sisters from the Amazon of the region of Cusco. So they are natively Shipibo. That's the name of their community, the name of their language as well. They come from the deepest area of the Amazon of our country. So we're going to jump a little bit ahead in our video in order to see how everything is starting with the performance, right? So inside of the main square of Cusco, we have that the representation of the arrival of the four regions of the sun takes place. So from the four corners of the main square of the city of Cusco, we have different kinds of groups of people coming, let's say, from the four suyos, which were the suyos, the four regions of the Incan Empire, right? So that's how we understand. So the ones coming from the north, from the south, from the east, from the west, they represent each a specific group of people coming, from different regions. That's how it used to be time before. So the Inti Raymi was a big festival that even took more than 3 months. And the most important days were around June 21st, which was originally the winter solstice, which is still people celebrate also inside of the Andean area. So what these people are carrying on their shoulders are actually representations of mummies, which in Quechua we call malki. So the malkis were these portable oracles, which were the mummification of the most important part of the aristocracy of the population of our area, right? So different kings were mummified, and these were still presented on these kind of festivals. On the previous days, we can read inside of our history, they were exposed to the sun, because remember, they were considered that they were still alive. So that's how we sometimes describe these mummies as portable oracles the Incan society used to take to different official events in their country, to their expansion, to their wars, to their political events and different, right? So again, we have the presence of our beautiful ahlias, our smart women from inside of the Incan convents. They were the ones learning about weaving. They were the ones learning about the elaboration of the paraphernalic poetry and choreographies for this kind of events, for different kinds of events. The Inca calendar was compounded by different kinds of festivals along the year, all of them related to agriculture, harvesting, astronomy, the observation of the behavior of nature, and of course the most important festival was the festival of Inti Raymi, the festival of the sun. Enjoy the colors. If we have the Tika Takas coming, Tika, a word in Quechua that refers to flower, means that someone important is approaching. queen is getting inside of the main square. Right ahead of the queen, we have a series of women which normally are described as mamacunas. The mamacunas are these leaders inside of the Incan convents. They were the ones commanding, educating, important part of the nurturing of those ladies we saw previously in the very jungles. So right in front of us we have the Koya of the Incan Empire. The Koya, or queen, is the one essential part of the administration of the whole empire as well. She was the one commanding the production of corn, commanding the production of agricultural goods in general, commanding the production of textiling, making sure every single village didn't suffer of starvation, making sure everything was properly accounted, registered. She was the one also making sure about the education of those ladies inside of the convents. So she was the mom of everyone.
Mujeres adultas, mujeres de la corte, mujeres nobles.
So we're starting looking at this that we call pichacunas. Picha is a verb in Quechua that means to broom, to clean. Cuna refers to someone, the ones that clean the path. So inside of the chroniclers written by Spanish, they just got amazed by the way how these pichacunas used to pretend they were cleaning the path in honor of the Inca and his past. So they were the ones making sure everything was clean. At the same time, we could see the Spanish chroniclers mention that there were lots of women throwing petals of flowers along the way because this gentleman was a semi-god. He was the one very important, yeah? So there were people pretending to clean, there were people pretending to lift the hair of him, there were people pretending to even dry the salivation of him when he was talking. Anyone were able to see at him directly to the eyes, anyone was able to approach him because he was the children of the sun. He was the Inti Raymi, the chosen by the god sun. So we're about to start the arrival of the Inca king inside of the Haucay Pata, the main square of the city of Cusco. We're looking again to the Quipu Camayo, the masters of the accounting. There are historical little descriptions mentioning that even those quipus, these knots, these cords that you see, could even tell history. This is something that unfortunately we lost because by the arrival of the conquering, there are lots of mentions of our Spanish conquistadors telling that inside of some kind of museums, these people saved lots of information. There were planks of wood with different kinds of symbols. There were lots of mantles, like curtains hanging down from the walls, and symbols on them. Very difficult to understand, but these Indians could read. So, it is still controversial to mention that our Inca people had writing or not, but apparently they did, because this was a country of more than 12 million inhabitants. So it is almost impossible to believe that such a size of nation could not have a system of writing. So we're looking at the next Kamayoks, the next priests, shamans approaching next to the Inca king who's coming right behind of them. We were very lucky to see the arrival of the Inca king, because I was not expecting to be in a corner with a view. Yeah, it was very late at the time I arrived. It was already 11 something, so that's pretty late to be inside of the main square of the city of Cusco if you want to see some of the Inti Raymi. I rented a bunch on which I had to stand up to film, even with my long selfie stick with the GoPro camera. We have the arrival of the Inca king. That was me shouting, convincing the Inca king to turn around. He did so, and all people just turned crazy because he was greeting us. Yeah. So Señor David, a big friend of us, was performing the Inca this year. What an emotional moment. It was very beautiful to see all this. You have to know that for people in Cusco, this is not a parade. This is not just a festival. Probably the word festival doesn't fit to this celebration, because this is a time in which we had to remember how important was our connection with the mountains, with the rivers, with the sky, with the sun. Yeah. So this is something that we perform now for all our travelers that arrive to the city of Cusco. And of course, this is how we consolidate all the celebrations of the Cusco city during the month of June. There are lots of parades on this square from June 1st. So when you arrive in June, you're already looking at many people practicing their performances for their contests in the next days, until we have the final day, the most important one, which is the Festival of the Sun, yeah, Inti Raymi. So for us, for people in Cusco City, this is something bigger, spiritually, ideologically, than just a common festival, right? So we get transported in time back to the times of our ancestors, back to the Incan times, back to the flourishing era in which the city of Cusco was some kind of Florence in the middle of the mountains of South America. Lots of intelligence, lots of art, lots of architecture, lots of innovation, a lot of expansion. For sure, there were lots of conflicts because these people were expanding their territory, but still Cusco being the capital, the navel of the world. That is how it is also described. Well, in between of the celebrations on the main square of Cusco, there are important events which involve the encounter of the times, as we say in Spanish. It is a time in which we have the meeting of the Inca king, the one that represents the Inca king, with the modern mayor of the city of Cusco. So we're going to start looking at the movement of the army, the movement of people who are already doing this faster dancing on the way to the main stage, which is going to be inside of the archaeological site of Sacsayhuaman. I really invite you to see some other videos about the main part of the Inti Raymi at Sacsayhuaman, because that's where we have our groups. In this case, I had 5 groups inside of the main festival of the sun celebration at Sacsayhuaman archaeological site, and we had to do the reservations 4 months before, right, to try to apply for the tickets for the celebration of the Festival of the Sun. Remember that this festival is compounded by 3 parts. The first one takes place inside of the Temple of the Sun. The second one comes on the main square of the city of Cusco. They both are public. And well, the last part takes place inside of the archaeological site of Sacsayhuaman.
Regalando protección, dulzura, el mensaje tierno de la esposa del Inca, la joven, la mamá joya, puro corazón y amparo a los hijos de esta tierra, para ayudarlos en el camino hacia la felicidad. Así se lo dijo al Inca: voy a ayudarte a construir el bienestar, la unidad y el progreso de nuestra nación.
Obviously, this group of people just approaching to our area are part of the army from the Amazon, and of course, ladies that still represent the Amazonian women. Remember that our region, our country has a lot of Amazon, and in the Incan times, they were also a really important part of the society. From the Amazon, people used to have those virtuous coca leaves with many alkaloids in. The hallucinogenics, the roots, the feathers people used a lot over the Andes, very exotic, beautiful, shiny colors of the feathers. And these exotic animals, fruits, vegetables that were brought from the deep Amazon. The Inti Raymi was not just a fiesta back then. The Inti Raymi was a time in which lots of people could meet and barter different kinds of goods. So we have historic registers telling about people used to come from what is now Ecuador, what is now Chile, what is now Bolivia, Argentina, all the way to the city of Cusco, in the Incan times. That is why this big square used to be bigger than the one that we have now. You can understand, because the Festival of the Sun, I'm sure, was massive, way bigger than the one we try to represent. I really look up how our historians are getting involved inside of this celebration, because all the clothes, all these beautiful clothes that you have over our performers are actually inspired in the investigations of our historians, anthropologists, archaeologists. So it is not something that they just represent, it is not something that they just invented, it is something described by the eyes of the Spanish when they came for the first time to our country in 1532. So they come from a different region in this case, so that's why they are dressing differently. They got a macana on the right hand and skull of an enemy captured on the left one. This is how pretty much this group of warriors coming from the north of the Inca Empire are represented as well, from the northwest in this case.
Vemos en conclusión la danza baile que viene del antisuyo, y la danza socabacho que trae el boy azul. Ambos conduciéndose en la presentación alegórica hermosa de estas danzas.
And thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you liked. Actually, this was almost improvised, but I really invite you to join our channel in order to see more videos, in order to have more references about your trips on the way to Machu Picchu, on the way to Cusco, on the way to Peru, on the way to the deep Andes. My name is Paul Chacon. I'm official tour guide here in the city of Cusco, in the region of Cusco. I'm a tour leader also in our country. Welcome to the Deep Andes.